family. I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't resist myself. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Podkrew. Guys, first off, I just want to say it's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen you guys. There's been a lot of transitions, and that's why we had to take off one episode. But you know the homie Z right here, right? CholoSwaggins, hey. And you may see a new face here. Hello, Venus. What's up, girl?
What's up?
How you doing, guys? This is Venus right here.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we start heading into the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So I am a Twitch streamer. I play some strategy games, some survival games, some spooky games. I like a little bit of everything. And yeah, I'm just out here, nerd who really likes movies, really likes games, and is really stoked to be here with you guys.
Guys, I just want to say first off, this is not going to be my forte, okay? Because today's topic is about the best movie trilogies of all time. If you guys got some inputs, just letting you know, Cholo is going to be one of the main guys, including with myself and Venus, going to be talking to you guys, pointing you guys out from whatever you guys say in chat, okay? But best movie trilogies, this man right here is the one that is the biggest movie guy here that I've ever met. And so I want you to start off to tell me what you think. I'm so out of breath right now. I don't know if you can tell.
Hey, man. We're right there with you, man. We're out of breath, too. If it helps, I'll start heavy breathing with you. But anyways, so I'm going to start off with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And, man, okay. That's, since I was a kid, dude, that one's been number one for me. It's just hands down like one of the greatest movies or movie trilogies I've ever seen. And I'm not the person that read the books either, but just from going through forums and other posts and stuff of people that have actually read the books, they say the majority of it is very, very spot on. And certain things were taken off that doesn't really fully affect the movie as bad as like other things would, but that those movies they actually made them back to back within what I think it was like 3 years, and they came out like 1 year after another. So like imagine working on 3 gigantic movies before trilogies were consistently a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine working on 3 movies within a few years, and you're just like, banger after banger every year, dude.
And in some crazy locations. Like one of the really noteworthy things about that trilogy is that they filmed so much on location. They made like no use of CGI backgrounds, that kind of thing. Like it just felt very authentic, and the work that went into that, just the actors talk about it too. Like it was there were some good times and some bad times, and somebody broke their toe. Some of you will know what I'm talking about.
So let me tell you all this, because I just want the heat going right now. I know a lot of y'all are gonna be pissed at me, but I've never watched.
It for him, please.
I've never watched a Lord of the Rings movie.
This man.
For shame. For shame.
I'm sorry.
The shame.
I'm sorry.
Boy.
You should be ashamed.
And I can't even say like it's because I'm Hispanic. Like I can't even say it because he's like.
Your cop out
is
your fault
that I can't use that.
It's my fault.
But
it's your fault.
So let me tell you this. So Lord of the Rings though. So as much as it doesn't catch my interest, if you get my drift, but it is on the top 5, I believe. I think it's ranked like out of all forums. I believe it's ranked 2. Out of all
there wasn't a
trilogies.
list that I saw that didn't have it on there somewhere. Like where it placed differed, but it was in every list I saw.
It was 100% in like all top 4s, like 100%. And if you did the mathematics when it came down to like giant forums like Reddit, IMDb, MovieWeb, like anywhere that you see, that consists of I guess you can say ratings. Lord of the Rings, it's on that list, and it will always be on that list. And so now I kind of want kind of need to. I think
we're
I'm
gonna
watch
strap
it.
you down, force you to watch
No,
it.
don't.
Right? There's no getting out of this. There's no getting away from this.
I'm not into that. No.
What are you? Why?
What?
You got a whole theater in your home.
I know. It's really
Right.
it's really nice. So for anybody who doesn't follow me on Instagram or on Snapchat for my stories, I'm finishing finally my home theater. And you know what? I think I will take a crack. But if you guys were to tell me, because I believe there's a bunch of Lord of the Ring movies, if you were to tell me one specific one that I should start off with, which one would you?
You got to start at the beginning. You got to
So
start with the
100%
Fellowship.
in the beginning.
You have to start with the Fellowship.
Okay.
And
The
anybody who says otherwise, just I'm sorry, they don't know what they're
Just
talking
shut their
about.
mouth.
You got to start at the beginning. You got to start at the beginning.
Okay.
Because the other Lord of the Rings movies are the Hobbit movies, which is a separate trilogy, which is funny to me. Like, I don't meet a Lord of the Rings fan who doesn't have a very strong opinion about which of those trilogies is better than the other. I am firmly camp OG. Like, I'm not even generous about the Hobbit movies. I actually hated them. Like, I'll start accepting my heat for that now. Some people will not like that, but there was too much CGI for my taste. Like, the original trilogy really set a tone for me of like that authenticity and that everything feeling very real and larger than life. And so when the Hobbit trilogy came in and it was so CGI heavy, it just, to me, it took away the magic. So that's just it's a personal thing for me, but it's a classic. You do have to start with the Fellowship, and then you can appreciate everything CGI wise later from the other trilogy.
I do believe this. So, what is Lord of the Rings like? What's the? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. The genre
Fantasy?
of the genre of the movie.
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Okay. See, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
So to me, there's like two big sections of this, right? There's like sci-fi fantasy, and then there's like swords and spells fantasy, and that's like, and Lord of the Rings is very swords and spells. Like that's
Okay.
the side of fantasy that it lives on. Yeah.
Okay.
Not an official label, but
what would you say is bad about Lord of the Rings? So there's a lot of good that's involved. What would you wish that
They're
the
long.
directors improved?
I wouldn't even say that I would have had them change or improve that, but I think one of the drawbacks is that they're very, each individually and especially all as like a trilogy. They're long movies.
They're already long as theatrical releases, and then every Lord of the Rings, every Lord of the Rings fan is always like, you got to watch the extended edition because
I own the extended editions. You do have to watch the extended editions. Yeah,
you just have to. After you watch the theatrical, you got to watch the extended.
Yeah.
But in terms of something to change, I don't know, man. Like,
I don't think I'd change a thing.
When there's,
they're beautiful.
Yeah, when there's when you actually like 100% have something that's just, it's your favorite no matter what, it's very hard to just like be critical with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much just pointing out everything you really enjoy.
How long are the movies?
I want to say they're close to 3 hours a piece. I could be wrong. Well, and again, we're talking theatrical versus the extended editions are, I think, well into 3 hours a piece.
The extended editions each are very close to 4 hours. The Return of the King is just about, if not at 4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah, that's right. That's the long one. Oh man, they are long movies.
They really are. I
believe I tried watching a movie once that was super long. What was it? The Avatar, the new Avatar movie. I believe that was like 2.5.
Way of the Water.
Yeah,
long.
I believe that was 2.5, 3 hours. I don't know how y'all do it for every movie. I don't.
It's not every movie though.
Okay. I thought you were saying like 2.5, 3 hours every movie. I was.
Oh, for Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my statement.
That's
when you said every movie, because you just said that after Avatar,
I apologize.
Like every movie, I was like, what do you mean?
So every Lord of the Rings movie, I don't think I can do that.
Here's my recommendation. I don't think, as an old person now, I don't think that I could watch all of the extended. I know. I get tired. I fall asleep, but I don't think I could watch all of the extended editions back to back. I recommend. I like binging things. Don't get me wrong. I'm a marathon girly, but like these movies, if you want to get through them, I would say you do like one a night and you space out like over 3 days. You watch them, but like I don't. If I watch them, it's because I have them on in the background and I've seen them. I've seen them probably hundreds of times. So like, I don't need to be like paying attention. Like I read the books, I've seen them 1,000 times. So I can have it on the background, but if you've never seen them, you want to soak it in, you want to enjoy it. Okay. So I would spread it out. I wouldn't try to do it all in one go. It's a tall order.
Especially if you're not sure if you would end up liking them.
Right.
Watch the first one and then
and they're great standalone.
I've even heard people started doing like not just with this movie, but like just any movie that they feel is long, they'll just watch it in like pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I don't know how anybody could do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean for a
either.
3-hour movie? If it was, I'd have to watch the first hour and a half, unless it really intrigued me. I honestly, so when I saw the Avatar movie, mind you that I bought it digitally. I couldn't sit there on my bed for like 3 hours. I stopped an hour in. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pause the movie. I'm gonna continue it on the next Saturday when I'm after my shift or whatever. Yeah, 100%. Yes, I did it the next week after. So like I'm not that type of person to sit there throughout the whole. Now if we're talking about like a regular 1.5 hour movie, maybe pushing it to 2 hours, then I'd be like, okay, you know what? And I think the only movie that I've ever done that was the new One Piece movie, Red Flag, with you actually, Z. That's the only one that actually stood out to the whole entire movie.
It for you, Z.
Damn, that's crazy.
And that was the only
that movie wasn't even long either.
Wasn't it 2 hours?
Nah, it had to have been like an hour and a half.
So like anywhere around there, I think I can stay for like the whole movie, but for 3 hours, no.
That's crazy. And mind you, let me remind everyone, he has a theater room. Like
the coziest way to watch a long movie.
How are you gonna have
stop throwing me out there, bro.
And you can't watch a long movie.
Stop throwing me out there, bro.
Okay, boy.
So an oxymoron.
We need to sit down and talk about this more.
So
we're concerned.
Besides that, on Lord of the Rings, what else do you feel like if you wanted to see something in the future, what would you want to see?
What do you like? Elaborate on that a little bit.
So maybe there's something that, you know, in any movie, there's something that you've always wanted them to implement or have to happen that you haven't seen yet, that you may have dreamed about, or that you may get excited like, oh, this is it, that they may do this and that, and then they did a whole 360 on you when it came to like a certain event of the new movie that came to the trilogy. What is something that you want to happen in Lord of the Rings? Because I'm unfamiliar with that. You know what I mean? So like
the lore.
With the lore itself, right? So like maybe there's something like for example, if we were to take this into a different context, if I were to tell you that I wanted for the Deadpool, the new Deadpool movie, you know, Deadpool 3, I may want to see like another character within that realm, like another hero to be involved in that movie. That's what maybe I would want to see. That'd be really cool if I saw Deadpool partnered up with someone else, you know what I mean? So like, but obviously that's taken in a different context. So what would you want to see from Lord of the Rings, either of you?
I think there's a lot of fan theories and
I like that.
Possibly also fan fiction based off of that entire lore of Lord of the Rings, where, let me give you an example. I don't know who has played Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, but I genuinely enjoyed those games. And I think that after seeing what they made with those games, after seeing that, I think there's an actual place for people to just like create their own storylines within that world, within that universe, I guess. It doesn't have to follow the books entirely. Like, yeah, like what they did, they brought in Celebrimbor, the guy that created the ring for Sauron, and he was one of the main characters in the game. You know, stuff like that. They just like created like a pretty cool side story out of Celebrimbor, and being able to see something like that would be interesting. Because a lot of times, especially for this trilogy, especially for Lord of the Rings in general, like all the diehard fans are like, if it's not within the book, then I don't want to see it.
It's not canon. It's wrong.
But that's usually how it goes. Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, but if I don't know what other example there would be.
I think that honestly that was a great example.
But just like these other stories within the universe, and a lot of it may not be canon, like you're saying, like the games are not canon. Those games are fantastic, and I think that a lot of people would agree that to see either something like that or to like literally see a film adaptation of those games like would be really, really cool. Even if it's not canon, even if it's sort of a departure or a bit of a, you know, a creative extension of what the canon was, I would love to see that. I would love that.
You heard that, Lord of the Rings? You got some shit to do. Okay.
and then give me a bit of a movie where we have a young Gandalf. I want to see like Gandalf like crazy times, like before The Hobbit, like show me how he became this way.
What are your thoughts on this? Somebody, so Iktel from the chat said, "Got to see Wade and Logan together."
Wade and Logan together.
What is that reference? Is that reference to?
Is he talking about Deadpool?
With Deadpool. Okay.
I was gonna say I am 99.9% sure there's no characters in Lord of the Rings named Wade and Logan. Wow. I was scared to say it and be corrected by a super fan, and it's like some niche sub character from like the books, but you know, I didn't think so. They didn't sound.
Because the rumors have been all but confirmed, especially with their with the trailer, the most recent trailer of, or not even a trailer, more like a teaser, I guess, for Deadpool 3 is Wolverine is coming back. So Iktel, you will be able to see that.
Iktel gets his wish.
Right?
So go ahead.
I thought of a great example that can actually transition us into the next topic, because another thing would be Star Wars. Star Wars has a gigantic lore. Gigantic. They got books. They got all these different a lot more movies and a lot more media attention than Lord of the Rings ever did. And on top of that, one of their more recent games was Jedi Fallen Order, or there was a second one. I'm blanking on it. I'm blanking on the title, but if I remember correctly, that's not actually canon.
Okay.
And that game was raved about. Like everyone loves that game. Everyone that talked or that played it just loves it. It's got a very good story and very good gameplay in it, to where just people don't really have anything bad to say about it. And it's like stuff like that can just be made into a movie. You know, it doesn't have to be canon. But I digress. We will go let's bring this other one up, because this one's a lot actually. It's Star Wars. And before we continue on this part, Colony,
don't ask me. Don't ask me. Stop.
Have you
seen
these movies?
Please stop. You're just on this own channel. On his own channel. Okay.
We just need to know.
Okay. So yes, I've seen.
Come on.
Okay. I've seen only 2 movies out of the entire trilogy. Okay. And that is The Empire Strikes Back, which is the classic one. And then oh my God, I'm blanking. Was it The Return of the Jedi?
The last one?
The last one, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, those are the only 2 movies that I've ever seen. But I will. Besides the movies, though, I mean, I have watched.
No, it was
like the third to last one or second to last one, right?
Rise of Skywalker, but The Last Jedi was
The Last
episode...
Jedi. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi. So those are the only 2 movies that I've ever seen. I won't say that I'm a very hardcore Star Wars fan, but I do love Star Wars. I even seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars. If you guys are familiar with that, I love that show. But I'm sorry to disappoint you. You know, not being up to date.
We're just adding this to the list of things you're going to be forced to watch.
Don't worry, we'll call you out here in a second. But
I was going to say,
I'm not the only one getting roasted today.
I am not qualified to speak on anything but the first 2 trilogies, the originals, which is technically the second trilogy, and the prequels. I've seen all those movies. I've seen them quite a few times. And I've read a lot of Jedi books, Star Wars books. They were about the Jedis. But, I just not had a big interest in the new age Star Wars. For me, when Disney got involved, I didn't like the Disney touch to Star Wars. I preferred Star Wars before it felt like, I don't know, it became formulaic to me, and I didn't enjoy it as much. But that's me, and I know full and well this is an unpopular opinion. They are quite popular, and I can see where other people could enjoy it. It's just, maybe I'm nostalgic. Maybe that's why the first 2 trilogies for me are still like enjoyable. There's probably a nostalgia thing there. But I also haven't seen all of it. I think I've seen The Force Awakens, and then I don't think I may have only seen The Force Awakens. I don't think I've seen any of the other new Star Wars anything.
Okay.
I saw that movie. I wasn't thrilled, and I was like, I'm done. I'm just getting off here.
You know what? I can agree with your opinion. Just because of the fact that a lot of the movies that I've liked and conversations that me and Z have had before, they're pretty shitty movies. And so apparently the ones that I like are not highly rated, and, they're just terrible. Rotten Tomatoes just, does not love them. Metacritic just does not love them. But you know what? I respect your opinion. It may be wrong, but I respect your opinion.
Oh. We're respectful about it, though. That's what matters. That's what matters.
But to add on top of that, for not liking the latest trilogy, I mean, this little side note is George Lucas himself had his own ideas for what the story would end up being for the newest trilogy. That's going to be up for another topic eventually. But I just wanted to bring that out. But I mean, so there was one movie that I will always recommend when it comes to the Disney Star Wars is Rogue One, even though it's not part of the trilogy. I know.
You mentioned this before.
That's the only one I will recommend.
And I'll concede to, we can watch that. If you say that that's a good one, I will watch it. But yeah, I don't have an opinion on it yet because I haven't seen it. But that's high recommendation coming from you. I'm intrigued. I'm willing to give it another chance on your recommendation since you're vouching.
Yeah, that was a great movie, and unfortunately, it wasn't part of the any of the trilogies. But yeah, that last trilogy, it just wasn't. It wasn't what me personally, and a lot of people did not want to see. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but growing up with the prequels, a lot of diehards. There's always going to be people that dislike and like certain trilogies, but I remember always hearing bad things about the prequels up until recently. Within these last few years, people have started to really like the prequels. I guess probably because the newest trilogy was that bad. Who knows? But the lightsaber battles in the prequels were amazing. They showcased so many possibilities with a lightsaber, with the Force. It was super cool to see, and that was something I genuinely wish that they expanded on in the newer ones, but they didn't. They were very much trying to be formulaic, trying to I guess have lightning strike twice, and that obviously didn't happen. And then just watching the original trilogy, it's something really unique because that was in the 70s when the first one came out. It was 1977 when A New Hope came out. And the fact that that movie can still hold up with just how good of a story it has, and the lore, and then just overall as a really good movie, like that's got to speak for itself on how good those original trilogies were. There's a reason why it's one of America's, if not America's most beloved sci-fi universe world. Um, and yeah, it's just such a great story.
So
I
let me ask you this: would you ever want the original trilogy remastered? I know to some people they don't want that. And so this is something that I've read up on, and because I like looking at, like, I guess you can say the interests that people have when it comes to, like, about movies, and movies in particular. And a lot of people actually prefer not to have remastered series or movies, just because of the fact that they feel like if it was caught in today's time, they would change a certain something, or they would miss out a certain event or part within the movie to replace it for something else that would make it modern. So, and I see that a lot, and I hear that a lot. So is that something that you would want to happen? And mind you, that with Venus stating earlier that now thank you, Iktel, by the way, in chat for stating this, but that they're owned by Disney. So is that something that you would want remastered into today's, I guess you can say, definition?
No, I don't see the point of it.
Okay.
Maybe just upscaling it like they do with older movies to try to make it like full HD or even 4K.
4K.
They did a Blu-ray re-release for the whole the first 6 movies.
Sure.
And just from watching it through there, it that's more than okay with what they should be doing. Like after that,
Right.
there's really no point. Because when they upscaled like the CGI, for example, in the prequels, it's very dated, very dated through the Blu-ray. But if you watch it in like old DVDs, it looks fantastic. So some things should just be left alone logically, but also
No,
emotionally.
I agree. Venus, do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I completely agree. I completely agree because I think it's part of the magic. I think it's part of what makes it a classic. And I think if you start to pick that apart too much and try to piecemeal it back together, like you made a fantastic point with what happened with the prequels. And yeah, there's just no point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a saying for a reason. And they're classics. And you know, they have a darker, grittier feel to them than any of the other Star Wars movies, in my opinion. And I think part of that was intentional, and part of the story. But part of that was just that, you know, sci-fi was not a big genre, especially in film at that time. Like it existed, but it was certainly not mainstream. And these movies, that original trilogy made sci-fi mainstream. And it did that because even with a low production budget, they were creative and they just made magic out of that. Yeah. So like, why? Yeah, don't take that away.
So let's revert back to the question that I had for you guys back in the last topic. Is there something that you want to see happen now with the new Star Wars movies, even though that you may not be up to date on it? Because Z, have you watched all of them, all the new ones?
Yes, yeah, I have.
And Venus, you haven't, and I haven't as well.
No.
So, is there something that you want to see that would, Venus, that would draw you back, or Z, that would make you like it even more or love it even more?
I'll answer this real quick because mine will be short. I could, if this already exists, someone would correct me. But if there is any Ahsoka in, I would love to see an Ahsoka movie. I don't think that exists yet, but I also enjoyed the Clone Wars TV show, and Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan, and I love her character arc. I love her character, and I would love to see a movie or even a whole trilogy just about her. So that's me. That's my thing I would want.
Okay.
So what I wanted actually happened already, and that is the Mandalorian series.
Okay.
So
yes, sir.
I was always intrigued with the idea of Boba Fett and Jango Fett, and I wanted to see more, just like a lot of people did. And when they finally came out with the show, it was amazing because it lived up to the expectations of what a Mandalorian could be doing. And at the same time, the way they created the show, if anyone's ever seen The Mandalorian, there's this Wild West feel to it where every episode, at least for the very first season, every episode felt like its own solo story while also being connected in some sort of way. But my favorite part, like I said earlier, was the Wild West part. It gave off that gunslinger vibe where he's walking across the desert. He's got his revolver in his holster.
Mhm.
He's not looking for trouble, but trouble's always looking for him. And then it's something super cool, super for a sci-fi show being grounded the way it was. That was the one thing I always wanted to see.
Well, you convinced me. I'll watch The Mandalorian now.
I'm going to tell you this right now. And a lot of people will hate me, but you know what? We already started this train, so why not? Screw it. So
Bring on the hate.
I do want them to remaster the movie that was back then, the Empire Strikes Back. But this would be my thing. Okay? So hear me out, okay?
Okay.
It has to be scene by scene, word by word, action by action that must be remastered. I do not want it different.
Right.
If you can have it to where exactly what I saw, but to today's technology, I would love that.
Okay, but what do you think about this? Because this is the only thing I can actually notice that they changed from what I remember watching. So,
Sure.
At the last one, what was it? What was there was A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of it, after the whole thing is said and done, they're at this like little gathering at night, and there's this hologram of Anakin. And in the original, it was obviously a different actor, but in these upscaled Blu-ray releases, it was actually Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
Okay.
I have seen that of which you speak and seen the difference. I had a family member who was really into these movies and owned like a 1980s VHS collection of the original trilogy. So growing up, that's the set that I watched. So when I saw them in like streamed format later on, I caught that and I was like, wow, that is interesting because they haven't touched these movies, elsewhere otherwise. But I liked that. I did. I can't say I didn't like it.
I couldn't tell. You look so triggered, and
well, because it caught me. It caught me when I saw it.
But would you like that, Colony? Or would you, like you said, you wanted them to keep it frame by frame, but that was also
it was only the one.
A nice little nod at the end, even though it wasn't like a gigantic.
It wouldn't bother me if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
That specific thing would not bother me.
Because it's intentional. It's not jarring. I think, what I was picturing when you were describing it having to be all the way through is like when they only remaster certain scenes or they only reuse certain portions, like it's a jarring effect to go from like the original quality to this like altered quality back and forth. Like, don't put me through that, please. Like, do it. A little nod, a little homage, and I think we like that. That's good.
Okay. It's your point correct. It's going to be really hard for them to remaster something frame by frame. I just want it to be in the same context, but just don't like if I remember like a phrase from a movie, don't change that phrase. Like you will die to I'll kill you or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, just don't change that. That's all I'm saying.
It's iconic for a reason.
It sounded like she was first. Okay, 1 second. Thank you for stating that. So with Z, anything in particular that you want to discuss about Star Wars before we head off to another in our final?
I do want to point something out. I was looking at the lifetime gross of those movies that came out in theaters, and it's crazy how much movie going has changed since the 70s, because A New Hope, that kickstarted this whole thing, its lifetime gross was $1.5 million.
Okay.
And
you said lifetime, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lifetime gross in theaters. And then The Last Jedi, or no, The Rise of Skywalker. Actually, no. Yeah, The Rise of Skywalker. That was the last one. Came out 515 million.
Oh, that's a big difference.
That's a big.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? No, oh God, I was reading the wrong one. I am so dumb. I am sorry.
Wow.
That's wild. It's still a big difference. The fact that a movie in the 70s had that much money, 300 million in the 70s.
That's pretty dramatic.
Which today would be a lot more. Right.
The Force Awakens made 936 million.
So just keeps going up.
Yeah. It's just it fell by the last movie, by Rise of Skywalker, but when The Force Awakens came out, that came out 2015, and mind you, The Revenge of the Sith came out 10 years earlier. People waited so long for another Star Wars movie to come out, and it shows, because The Revenge of the Sith ended up making 380 million. And then you fast forward 10 years later to The Force Awakens, making that 900, almost $1 billion. That's how much this whole world of Star Wars is loved.
Have you ever heard of just a saying, blank is love, blank is life? Star Wars literally created their community. Star Wars is love, Star Wars is life. Like, anytime that you would go to a con, I've never met someone who hasn't fully fulfilled like a true cosplay of Star Wars. It's either you do it or you don't. There's like, like when you go to like an anime con or something and you see like half-ass Narutos or like stuff like that, like you don't see that when you go to those type of cons where it involves like Star Wars. I've never in my life. I think Star Wars did a great job building their community and building their fan base. And Disney, unless you mess it up, bro. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You better stick with the program of what everybody is telling you to do. But with that being said, this is definitely the next one that we have that I have no idea about. The Godfather. I've never watched one in my life. Ever.
Those movies are definitely too long for you.
I've never.
The cap is real. I'm like,
what do you mean?
My boy.
What do you mean?
I swear.
No, never watched one.
You saw that.
Never watched one. Ever.
That's insane. You know why?
Well,
because I haven't watched one. I'm gonna be honest. I've tried watching them like a handful of times, and for
the movie man himself.
Well, look, I fall asleep to those movies, and the best part is like I really do want to watch it, especially because in every single list of like top movies of all time, at least one movie from The Godfather's in there. I'm just like, okay, there's got to be something about it that I like. That it makes it that way. And then I just fall asleep. And I just never finish it.
Wait, so hold on. Venus, have you seen it?
I've seen the first Godfather, and I saw part of the second one. and I fell asleep and I haven't seen the third one. They do put you down. They do put you down. It unfortunately starts to feel like you're watching movies at your grandparents' house and you're
Oh
just
no.
you're just out. You're just done. You know. The first one's really good. I'm Sicilian myself, so like it's kind of I'm actually like committing sins by not having seen all three. My family would disown me. But the first one, I remember really enjoying the first one because like there were a lot of things about it that made me like nostalgic for like my family or things that like my older family would do or say. So the culture was really beautiful to see, and I really enjoyed that. And it's a badass movie. Like it gets intense. It kind of starts off lighthearted, and then gradually, like throughout the movie, they just get darker and darker and darker. And I won't give spoilers because I do think you should at least see the first one. But I have not made it through the trilogy. I can't do it.
Wait, so does that make us
Yeah.
all terrible people? Because literally, The Godfather is top 5.
I think so.
It's top 5.
I saw it on every list.
Yeah.
Every trilogy list had
list.
it.
It's crazy. And we just can't sit through it. Well, like, all right, you, Colony, I understand because for some reason you don't like movies longer than like an hour, hour and a half.
But I get bad marks.
Yeah, I feel like I should be. I know I can sit through a 3-hour plus movie, but this one is just a different story, man.
Ooh, so don't
There's
watch
these
it.
long stretches where, there's just long stretches where it's like a lot of dialogue and it's an old timey movie. So like, I don't know, it's like just lulls you off. Then you wake up to like gunshots and you're like, oh man, I have no idea what's happening. People are shooting each other. I don't know. They're sleeping with the fishes.
Hmm.
The
And then it's over.
Here's the crazy thing too, because a lot of these lists that I've stumbled upon, a lot of them are mixed between Godfather 1 and Part 2, whichever one is the better one in their opinion, right? So half of them would say Godfather Part 2 is the best one, and then the others would say Godfather 1 is the best one. And then I look at the box office gross. They were only 2 years apart. The first one came out in 1972, and the other one came out in 1974. The first one made close to $300 million.
Damn.
And then the second one made close to 100 million. It didn't hit 100 million.
Ooh.
And the fact that there's people out there that are saying that Part 2 is the better one, that makes me more interested in eventually finding out which
Why?
one's the better one. Yeah.
Do you believe that it may have been overhyped when it came out?
I'm not sure.
Well, oh man, that's odd. So that intrigues me that why it was on the top 5 at that point. You know what I mean? To have,
Yeah.
I don't personally from The Godfather. Like I've never heard someone talk to me about The Godfather. You know what I mean? Like I just know of it because of back then. I've seen the movie. What's it called? All over in retailers, merchandise, and that's how I was aware. And then also, not that there's any relation to it, but the video game. So to me, that's how I became aware about it. But I've never heard of like, oh, I am a Godfather fan. Like this is what you have to see, or this is the part that you can't miss. Like I personally never seen or heard in my lifetime.
I've gone out of my way the last few years to actually go back in time and watch these other movies.
Finish it.
Well, we'll watch them for the first time.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
It's because you hear good things about them, and then everyone's got their own taste, and their taste changes throughout the years.
Sure.
So as a kid, I never really wanted to watch like spooky movies or anything because I was just too scared. And eventually I get older and I want to watch them. And like, for example, Alien was another movie that came out in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an age thing. It's not a time thing for me. it's just something about that movie. There's a lot of people that will say movies in the 70s or in the 80s or in the 90s are amazing, and you can agree with them. But then the best movie, supposedly the best movie in the world, and I just fall asleep to it.
There's just a lot of I don't know. I feel like there are other trilogies that are better than The Godfather, and that's just personally me. Like, for example, like Terminator, or even Back to the Future. Like, you know what I mean? Like those just more common, more known, more loved trilogies, and it surprised me. I'm honestly surprised right now that both of y'all have never watched The Godfather. Big movie heads, and I was thinking like, all right, I'm gonna be screwed. This is the third one that I haven't seen, but that just puts into a perspective that makes me want to research it even more, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Because Terminator, thank you, Terminator. I personally believe should be in the top 5, but that's just me. What do y'all feel about that?
Oh, I'll agree with Terminator 2.
Okay. So not the whole trilogy. Got it. Okay.
I was just gonna say it's not the whole trilogy.
Okay,
he said Terminator. He said Terminator, so I was just assuming you're talking about the first
sequel.
One. That whole trilogy in the top 5 best trilogies. Sure.
Okay.
It's this is a good I'm gonna end up sidetracking from The Godfather, but it's okay. Because this is James Cameron we're talking about, and he had his own part in Alien 2, Aliens.
Yep.
And then he ended up making the Terminator movies, right? So this is one of those things that I think is amazing, and why I would agree with Terminator being in that trilogy, and Terminator trilogy being in that top, is the first one came out as a horror movie, a movie of a cybernetic soldier tracking down someone and trying to murder them. And in the process, you just see her so helpless and just trying to run away and survive, right? And it became a very beloved movie. And then the second one comes out, and it just does a 180. It's not a horror movie anymore. It's a full-blown action movie with a great story. Not only is the killer from the first movie turned into the hero in the second movie, but it continues that path afterwards, because it just did so well that people agree with it, that they ended up doing that with the third one, where he stayed the hero. You never see something like that. And the fact that James Cameron did that twice, because Alien, the first one, is a horror movie, with the helpless Ripley, even though she's a badass, but
I didn't even see it.
Then the second one,
I didn't even see it as a horror movie, to be honest with you.
Oh, it was definitely a horror movie.
I understand that, but to me though, like, it didn't make me feel that way, if that makes any sense.
Right. I get what you mean, but that's funny.
Yeah.
What did it come across as to you?
I don't know, like suspenseful action.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's
thriller.
Yeah.
To be fair though, like, it had like 2 of the best jump scares of all time before jump scares were overused. Yeah. So nobody, they were very what's the word, like ominous with their trailers. Like you couldn't really tell exactly. I mean, yeah, there was going to be an alien, there was going to be a horror movie, this and that, but what they didn't show you or explain is the after the face hugger puts in the alien in your body, no one was expecting the chest burst.
True.
And
that was
yeah, you're right.
Jump scare.
That's correct.
That was something that you can't replicate anymore. It's one of those things where, if anything, I would probably argue that's what started the jump scares, is that movie.
Yeah, when it comes to horror, usually it has to be like to scare me, or not even scare, like mutilation. I think that'd be the only thing that gets me now. Honestly. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever feel something that I did with that movie.
But then you go into Aliens, and James Cameron ended up making Aliens. It was Ridley Scott that did the first Alien, and then James Cameron comes in with Aliens and turns it into an action movie that everyone loves. The fact that this man twice in his career turned two horror movies and made their sequels into like some of the greatest action movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why I would end up agreeing that Terminator should be in the
I did
top
good.
5 trilogy.
I did good.
Yeah.
Okay, idea. I want him to reverse this and make the third Avatar movie a horror movie. That's what I would like.
Yo.
How cool would that be?
Hold on,
though?
because he is making up to like 5 of them.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's more.
That's wild
coming
that you
down
say
the
that.
pipeline.
Yeah.
That'd be a challenge.
Can you
Yeah, that'd be a
imagine?
That would be
challenge.
amazing.
Yeah,
And then if it works too, ooh.
Oh,
I can agree to that.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can agree to that as well. Oh my god.
because that planet is dangerous and dark, and I feel like Way of the Water was very like, even though it had like a lot of danger and like action-packed stuff happening, it was bright, it was colorful, it took place, you know, largely in this like watery tropical environment, so it was like very bright and colorful. But we know there's parts of Pandora that are dark and scary and terrifying and full of creatures with a lot of teeth that just want to eat you. So like, let's go see some more of that. That's what I want.
No, that's true. Like, especially if anyone has seen Way of the Water recently, like, you know, no spoilers, but there's some creatures there that are that would make for a good horror movie.
Big facts.
I like that you're recommending
Yes.
actually like a movie. So for everybody who's actually here, name at least from either one of you, name at least one movie that you've seen recently. It could be within the past 3 years, 5 years or so, but name something that it's a must watch for somebody. It could be from your favorite, personally, your favorite actor, as we were discussing before. Why that movie?
Oh, that's a tough question because there's a lot.
So tough.
Yeah, but so
Right.
just think about one. Just think
Do
about
you
one.
have one in mind right now?
So for anyone, so personally for me, I'm only gonna say one movie, but just so that you guys have context, my favorite 3 actors of all time is going to be Mark Wahlberg, Ryan Reynolds, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Those are my 2 go-to stars of all time. If they make a movie, I gotta watch it. And it was very unfortunate about Uncharted, but that can be another day. Anyways, so the one movie that I think it's been over 4 years now since this movie came out, but Central Intelligence. If you haven't watched that, yeah, 100% with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart, guys. If you have not seen that, if you guys are into an action, suspenseful type of movie, that's 1000%. I won't give you any spoilers, but if you haven't seen the movie, that's gonna be my to go to. But I want to hear your guys. I might even watch one of your guys' movies, you know.
Honestly, for me being a giant Denzel Washington fan, I will always recommend Man on Fire. Man on Fire, he plays this former CIA agent and, you know, turned bodyguard pretty much. Like he's a bodyguard for hire, not like for one specific person up until he gets hired, and then he'll do a job for a certain amount of time. But he's it shows you, this is one of the first movies I've ever seen that shows a tragedy for the hero not actually winning 100%.
Sure.
What you normally see with action movies, especially action movies with the heroes, is plot armor. And, you know, their whole story is they're going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
This doesn't show you that. And in unfortunate circumstances, it shows you that. So Man on Fire is one movie I will always recommend. Slightly dated, slightly just because of the way they did the editing. You know, like in Saw, those movies where like they bring up the traps and like the people are kind of like moving back and forth with the editing, like they're going like in super fast motions.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of have that in
Okay.
there, and I feel like that editing part is dated. But honestly, that movie, yeah, 100% recommended.
Man on Fire.
Nice.
Let me put that on my list real quick. No, that's intriguing because similar to Central Intelligence, I'm sure both of you are pretty familiar, but it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who was a quote unquote former FBI agent who was out to seek out a specific group that was going to take over codes and basically take control over the whole entire market when it comes to currency. And those type of movies I really do enjoy and love. When it comes to any type of like agency that's informed with police, and I really do enjoy that. So I think Man of Fire is up my alley. You've convinced me to watch another movie, even though I don't really watch movies. It's wild.
Nice.
How about you, Venus? What's your recommendation to the people?
Before I give my recommendation, I'd just like to say I'm also convinced. I somehow have not seen Man on Fire. I've seen it pass by me quite a bit, and I like what you're selling here. I like what you're describing.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Gotta watch. Picking up what you're putting down. That's right. That plot armor is annoying for me in action movies. Like, I don't watch too much action, and that's kind of why, because the hero always saves the day gets really boring. But yeah, I would love to see that that trope be taken down. That's pretty cool. I have a recommendation specifically for my scary movie people. I will say, fair warning, if you are not into scary movies, you may not want to watch this. We were just kind of talking earlier about some other movies, and we were talking about Ryan Reynolds, and he's in this movie called The Voices. And I watched that recently. It's free on Prime. If anyone has Prime and they're bored and they want something to watch and they like scary movies, that movie is interesting. No spoilers, because one of us here has definitely not watched it, even though Ryan Reynolds is supposedly one of their favorite actors. Who could that be? Wow. I don't know. I don't remember. Do you? No?
Oh, I remember who has Ryan Reynolds.
We remember.
One of the top guys.
So no spoilers, but I will say, like, the basic premise, like what would be in like the description on Prime, is that Ryan Reynolds can talk to animals. So I sort of like from the poster, right, like, or the description, I was like, oh, so like Ryan Reynolds is like Dr. Dolittle, like, that's cool. Oh, that's fun. And so I put it on. And I'll just say that that's not the whole tone of the movie all the way through, and that I maybe had a nightmare later, but it's okay. I survived.
That's stupid.
I'm all right. I'm recovering. It's all good. But it's definitely, if you're into horror movies, it's one I would really recommend, because it's so out of left field and it takes you by surprise over and over kind of throughout the movie. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Well, is there anything that you both would like to add into this the best movie trilogies of all time?
You know what? Yeah, I'd like to put in a honorary nomination.
Ooh.
We got Terminator in there, so we got one left for a top 5, right? I'd like to put in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, because all 3 of those are bangers.
100%.
Look, man. Look, there's a lot of people that including myself at one point, that didn't like the third one. But you watch it enough and you kind of, it's growing.
It's growing.
I would definitely have to say that would be an honorary nomination for me, because it was before the Marvel Cinematic Universe and after one of the greatest Marvel characters being introduced, Blade. But they just did so well with the characters, with the story, with the action too. I don't think I've ever, as a kid, been terrified for a superhero until I saw those movies. And mind you, a little fact for people that aren't aware is Sam Raimi is the one that created the Evil Dead series, the Evil Dead movies. And this man started as a horror movie director. So, you know, he's got some really great techniques and stuff when it comes to this. And I absolutely love the way he made those movies. It's the more I got into movies, the more I started to dissect those, and those they did very well. Um I was a kid. How old? I don't know. It came out what, like 2003, the
Or
first one?
like, I think the first one might have been '04, but it was like, yeah, that mid 2000s, the aughts, like that is right
Yeah.
when it was out.
And
Yeah.
and f- anyone that's watched the movie, the first one, how terrifying was it for you at the very end when Green Goblin was actually whooping Spidey's ass?
Actually, yes, very terrifying.
And
He just scared me in general.
and yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And the fact that he was holding on to those blades with his hands, and I was, me being a kid, I was like, no way, dude, is this actually gonna happen? And you know, he overcame a lot of just unfortunate events that you've come to love Spidey for. He's that guy that there's a reason why everyone loves him so much. You know, he's the average guy turned superhero.
I want to ask you this, and I really want to, and I'm going to open up this can, bro. Was anybody else pissed off that Tobey Maguire was not in the second Spider-Man movie? Is that just me? Was that just me?
What do you mean?
Wasn't he not in the second Spider-Man movie?
He was.
Wait.
Are you talking about the Amazing Spider-Man?
Correct. Yeah, sorry. The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, I apologize. Yes, the Amazing Spider-Man.
No, so I wasn't, because
really?
Those movies are guilty pleasures of mine. They're not exactly the best, but especially Andrew Garfield, I personally feel like Andrew Garfield is what I wanted Spider-Man to be. Not Toby, not Tom Holland. Andrew Garfield is what I wanted Spider-Man to be. Maybe not Peter Parker.
Okay.
I think Tobey Maguire is a perfect Peter Parker, but Spider-Man himself, I think Andrew Garfield did the best job.
See, I think backwards. Personally, I wanted Tobey Maguire to be just the only Spider-Man. And so here's the biggest thing. When it came to the new Spider-Man, how they brought all of them together, right? I think that was phenomenal.
I love
that idea was so
great.
phenomenal that
super wholesome.
Yes. And the fact that all of them were like, yes, let's do this, it made that even better for me.
And the chemistry, they had good chemistry together.
They did so well in that movie. But I wouldn't have been mad if Tobey stayed throughout the entire process as just Spider-Man and they did not have anybody else. That's like for me saying like somebody would take like Ryan Reynolds' spot as Deadpool. Like I can't see that happening, but it happened. You know what I mean? It happened, and that threw me off at a 360. And I was like, I don't know if I want to see it, but I gave it a chance. I saw it and I loved him, but I was just like, I still wish it was just Tobey. But that was just me.
I will say you're not alone in that. I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield or the Tom Holland because I really liked Tobey as Spider-Man, and I did see the one where they were all three in it together. I just kind of like happened to catch that one, and I really enjoyed it. And that actually made me go, okay, well, like maybe I will watch these other movies with Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield because I liked them in that one. But yeah, I feel you. You're not alone. You're not alone in this feeling. I get you.
I'm happy. CZ.
I do want to talk about one spoiler for the No Way Home one when all three Spider-Men are together. Sure. So I remember talking to a bunch of buddies about this when the trailers first started coming out, and there was rumors of all three Spider-Men being there, right? And I read DC comics. I don't read Marvel comics. I just couldn't get into them. So I never read Spider-Man. And watching The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was very heartbreaking because Gwen Stacy ended up dying. And Spider-Man couldn't save her. And when I thought about those Andrew Garfield and Tobey coming back, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I wonder what they're going to do. And then one of the last trailers I saw before I actually saw the movie was, you see for a quick second MJ is actually falling off of something.
How they revisioned that scene back in No Way Home. Oh, that was so perfect.
Yes, I brought it up to everyone. I was like, dude, if this happens, I will be so happy. I will be insanely happy because when I tell you that Amazing Spider-Man 2 legit broke my heart at the end, like and then seeing this and then seeing Andrew Garfield like actually like shed a tear in the movie, I was like, okay, I actually shed a tear too, because I'm like, oh man, he finally got to, you know, redeem himself. And it was amazing. You know, say what you want about all of those movies, but that was very wholesome for me.
It was one of the parts where you were like, oh my god, is she going to die too?
Yeah.
And your heart just can't take that. It's like, no, not again. No. And you're not even him, right? But like you just can't. And yeah,
because you see Tom Holland jump out there and try to get her, but then he gets caught. Yeah. And we're just like, oh, so she's still falling. I'm like, Andrew Garfield.
Why do you PTSD flashbacks? Like, no, we can't.
You not again, dude.
Did you guys happen to see that? So did you see that movie in theaters?
Yes,
I did.
So
no.
Yes, I did.
So there was a giant Andrew fan, okay, in the theater, and you just see him stand up saying, "Yes, let's go." I think so. For people to feel that's really wholesome, and I think they did it really well with the Spider-Man movie. That's actually really good.
That's awesome.
So that was my favorite.
With that being said, guys, anything else that you guys want to add today? Because honestly, we could keep going all day, honestly, but
we could just keep going,
right?
We
probably could, yes.
But guys,
we'll keep going two weeks from now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to say I'm so glad to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me on, and I'm really excited to be part of the Podkrew. So that is my little 2 cents I was going to add, but I'll leave it at that.
Well, guys, you heard it here. Venus, Z. It was an amazing day today. Guys, just letting you know it's every other Thursday. So next week we won't be doing a podcast, but the week after, we usually start at 7 p.m. CST. If you guys haven't followed us already on social media, just letting you guys know, we have a marketing manager now that's going to be keeping you guys up to date on everything that we do. But guys, you already know what it is, family. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Bye!
I'm waiting around, yeah. Switch it up, take it, send me on a trip, fill it up. Got a new style, better way, ready, I'm ready, tryna be steady.